I'd like to open at this time the town council subcommittee for the town manager's performance evaluation outline, and on October 28th at 10:30. So the meeting is live. In attendance, members, we have Kathy Hill, myself, Tom O'Connor, and Patrick Henry, and ex officio, Michael Kane in attendance. So first order of business is to discuss how we're going to move forward with the goal setting and discussion and for the full council. The previous goals that were set were, I guess that's a question that is still out there from a number of people, and how we went about doing that. And Kathy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you kind of, since you were the president at the time, can you give us an overview of, I know you accepted information from everybody. And,
yes. So the process went like this. Prior to the evaluation, I asked that each counselor suggest up to 3 goals that they felt reasonable, that were reasonable for the manager to be evaluated on. Once everybody had their input, I aggregated the results and took the top 3 goals by way of frequency. In other words, one of the goals had 3 of the 7 counselors felt it was, it was common to all of their responses. So that said, then I developed a very, I guess, simplistic or simple rating scale of, let me just pull my notes out here. Achieved, these would be the rating indicators. Achieved, the goal as written has been achieved. In progress, the goal is being worked on but not complete at this time. Or defer, reconsider this goal after July 1, 2020 for the next evaluation cycle. And then each counselor was given the 4 goals. Actually, there were 6, I'm sorry. Yes. And was supposed to rank each of those statements accordingly. Aggregated all of that, gave it back to the council so they could see the results. Everyone was in agreement that that was a reasonable overview or summary of the evaluation of the manager at that point. And then I met with Mary to review that, and we both signed off on that in mid-June, I think. And each counselor had an opportunity to make some optional comments if they chose.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So that brings us to a point of discussion. Are we comfortable sticking with this current performance evaluation of 6 pieces of criteria, or would we consider going back to a previous evaluation form that we used in the former town manager, which had 10 categories of evaluation criteria? And I'm not sure which is appropriate at this time, so I'd like to just open that up for discussion and see if anybody has any opinions or thoughts on that. Kathy?
If I can continue where I just left off a minute ago. So that took us through June 30th. When July 1st rolled over with the new fiscal year, the leadership of the council changed. But as a council, and Mike, I'm certainly not pointing fingers at you. In fact, it falls on me. I should have been vocal about this. But at that point, we were lost in the weeds of COVID, budget, and yep. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's not egregious, but it was an oversight. The council should have developed new goals for Mary sometime after July 1. And we didn't, and we fell down on that. But as I said, in the midst of all the other things that are, on our plate right now and locally and in the world, I suppose worse things could have happened. So we my perspective is, and it's just mine only, we may need at this point, since no other goals are on the table, to conduct an evaluation on the original 6 for now, but at the same time concurrently develop some new ones for the next 6 months, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does, Kathy, and I share your sentiments on, I mean, this was just an issue of times.
Right.
And we fell into this gap. And I personally would like to move forward with the current goals that we've developed, which she already has hands-on to, and then concurrently, as you mentioned, develop a new category performance scoring, which I found very helpful that we've used in the past.
Okay.
But we would certainly have to develop new goals until we get that direction from the full council and that input and feedback from them. We can't do that alone unless we want to try to develop some goals now to present to the council. Pat?
I agree with both Kathy and you, Tom, that these are the goals that Mary's been operating under. These are the only goals she knows. These are the goals that we probably need to present to the council and ask them for their evaluation on. For the second phase, I'm not sure whether I would be in agreement with trying to develop new goals for her now, or whether we should wait and develop new goals for her in the spring as her contract would state. She gets new goals once a year.
Right.
And
Her contract runs July or December. I don't recall that without.
It says December start.
I thought it was a December date as well, once she came out of the interim status.
Yeah, it was December 2019. Surmising that, as Mike stated, this is where she came out of an interim status and we hired her on a full-time basis. So
Right. I have
December.
I didn't mean to speak without raising my hand.
No.
I have a copy of her contract. The original resides with the personnel department, and a copy to Mary, but we both signed on the 7th of February of this year because we were still in negotiations in late December. So,
Okay.
however, the agreement is dated December 19, 2019. So it is a December to December, and the other
agree.
is, we're always off cycle here.
Yeah.
And through nobody's fault. It's just at the point where we bring on a manager. Our first manager, and as well as Mary, we were into contract signings in December of a year. But when there's a merit raise, let's say, that goes July to July. So it's like we have to figure out a way to sync the cycles, if you will.
Yeah. Pat,
Or live with it the way it is, but it just sometimes to me seems awkward.
yeah, I agree. Pat?
I would draw my suggestion to wait until the spring then and say that it's probably appropriate at this point, if Mary's contract is dated December, to also develop fresh goals for her for the interim period starting in December.
Right. Okay. So what we just discussed basically points to what Kathy had created in the past with the 6 goals and the ratings on those, and we would continue to use that for this rating period and jointly create and get with feedback from the full council new goals for sometime after December 19th. Is that what we're agreeing to?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say.
Kathy?
Yeah, it seems to make sense now.
And Tom?
Yes, Pat?
And Tom, we could also at that time discuss the new method of evaluation that you
Right.
see.
Right.
But at
Yeah.
this point, I wouldn't think it would be appropriate to try to mix the two together.
I would agree.
So for
That would
these-
be after December 19th, you mean?
Yes.
yeah, for these goals, we should use Kathy's chart.
Right. Okay. So this is something that we can certainly recommend to the council, and then pass this document. Kathy, I'm sure you probably have a blank copy of this,
Yes.
and we can send it out to the full council for their input, and then convene sometime back and maybe, I don't know. Anybody have any idea what a time frame would be with the holidays coming
I
up?
mean, we're asking the council to give judgment again on Mary's performance between May 26th and,
December 19th or so.
right, but I mean, we could get this out there. I'm gonna ask Mike, are you anticipating that we'll have a second November meeting?
I am not at this point, wrapping in with the holiday, being, Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Right now, and what I'm forecasting for the agenda, it looks like one meeting in November. Just to break back to the original conversation, I kind of look at this as more of a prog check, and
Right.
I would agree 100% with the consensus of our entire board, yourself, Pat, and Tom, that phase 2 could kick in. It's not time sensitive at this point. It would be more to complete the prog check based on the items that were previously discussed.
Yeah. Yes, Kathy.
Well, then on top of what Mike is saying, then I've got the original document that can be, I can send this out again after our November 10th meeting. Maybe Mike can mention that it's going to come out, give people, up to 2 weeks to respond. It's not that time, it's not a burden of time to fill out this document. And then they get them back to you, Tom, and then we aggregate them and then get ready to report on them at the December meeting.
Yes, two hands here. I'm not sure who put it up first. Pat?
Pick one. My question is, why do we wait till after November 10th? I think I hear Mike saying this is a project, so we could send it out right away.
We can,
Ask them to send it back in a couple of weeks and give us plenty of time to work on it, because if I'm not mistaken, we don't have to meet as a council to discuss these things. It's an interim evaluation that's already been identified.
correct. And it really is a
Now
progress.
let's talk-
I'm
now let's
sorry,
talk to Mike.
I'm sorry.
No, but I think that's what Kathy was saying, is that Mike can mention at the next meeting that it's coming out, and then we can send it out that next day.
Well, why
And
wait?
then-
Well-
Do we need to notify? Yes, Kathy.
I don't think we need to notify counselors other than in an email, FYI. This is coming out as part of the work that our committee needs to get done to complete the 6-month progress check. Please look these over, fill them out, and send them back to Tom within, pick a date, give them 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To me, it takes about 20 minutes to fill out, but I can't speak for everybody's schedule.
Yeah.
And then this committee gets back together and aggregates it, and we're simply, the chair would have to meet with Mary, but we're simply letting the council know at that point. There's no vote the vote to be taken.
Yeah. Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to say that paperwork could go out as soon as it's able to be sent out, and we could primarily just mention it at the November 10th meeting for transparency purposes, that the paperwork had been sent out, and that's really for more for our listening audience. But that way, people have already had the document, could start working on it, and with more information to come at our December 10th meeting.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? All we're going to do is mention that the paperwork has been sent out. So it could go
Yeah.
out as early, it could go out as early as tomorrow or when you find it appropriate. But we'll mention at the November 10th as a point of information that the documents have been sent out.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Pat?
Thank you.
And just simply that it is part of Mary's contract that we must do this interim performance evaluation.
Mhm.
Okay. Do we have a date in mind? I mean, if we send it out, I'm sure Kathy can.
I can do it later today. I've got some stuff
if
to
you
take
wanna,
care of during the day, but it'll be out this evening.
Okay, so then everyone will have it and we'll be able to take a review of it. If we give them 2 weeks, that would probably be sometime.
That'll be around November 11th.
Are you out of here?
Yep, I'm all set.
Okay.
I just pushed the.
Maybe get everything back by the
Thanks.
13th of November?
Let you know if anything comes down the road.
The 13th, and then we'll get it on the 16th,
Go
yeah.
through, go through the proper
Yeah.
channel.
Okay.
All right.
I like
Thanks for all your help. No problem.
Does that work?
Yeah.
That gives everyone approximately 2 weeks to fill it out, a little bit more.
So the deadline for returning is the did you say 13th?
Yeah, the November 13th.
Yep.
Then I can compile all the information and we can meet again shortly after that to ready a conversation with the council and have a discussion with Mary. Yes, Kathy.
Would we, certainly this is pretty straightforward, but do we want to concurrently ask the counselors to suggest other goals so that on the 13th, we have a sense of what people are thinking about and it gives us enough time to create the goals, and then December is at our doorstep and Mary can begin working on those.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, Pat.
I would agree completely with Kathy. It's a good time to ask them to do that while it's fresh in their mind. Also, the question I would have is, do we want them to add any concerns that they have that are not expressed in the 6 goals?
If we were going to, I think, suggest that they give us some more feedback, then maybe that performance category scoring that we've used in the past would be an appropriate document to send out along with it, which gives them an opportunity to rate from 1 to 4. Your thoughts?
It might
Pat?
confuse them if we ask for a different category. My only suggestion is that they can raise issues that they think our committee should address and that she should know about as part of the evaluation. Just one-liners.
Yeah, similar to what we've done in the past where, as Kathy mentioned, during the evaluation, we picked the 6 highest ones, and then I think I have a list of about 20
Right.
that were listed, and it might have been just one counselor's comments. Yes,
In deference to the time that we have sending this out, I would say that limited numbers of things to ask them about.
yeah, what did we mention last time, Kathy? Did we provide a number saying, give me 3, I think it was?
3 goals?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so everyone can certainly do that again, and that way we have a compiled list and we can develop the 6 highest priorities from that and then certainly list the rest as an opportunity
Right.
for improvement. Okay. Yes, Mike, I think you had your hand up.
I was just going to say, being part of the process last time, after additional comments have been submitted, such as Patrick mentioned, your committee would take that and in terms of redundancy, just make sure that, streamline it down to what
Sure.
you feel is appropriate. So we're
Yeah.
pretty much following the same protocol. Today we're just figuring out the timing of how everything's going to take place. So
Correct. Okay. Well, I think we,
sounds good.
Yeah. Kathy, are you clear on that?
I am.
Okay,
So what I'm going to do later today is send an email to the council with two parts. The first is, as with the attachment, fill out the ranking on the last 6 months of Mary's performance, and have it back to Tom O'Connor by November 13th. And then part two, please suggest what you feel are 3 reasonable goals for the manager for the period December 20 to December 21. And
Sure.
include all of that response by November 13th.
right. That
And,
brings
and
up,
also, if you have things of concern, I'll put a comment section for that and explain that that's where you put matters of concern you want Mary to be aware of.
right, I think that brings back an email that Pat had sent around as well, that within the contract, it states that we should meet quarterly to discuss the goals. Yes, Pat?
Within, that's actually in the council rules. Her
Right,
contract just says semi-annual.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you, Pat, for that clarification.
My recollection, it's pretty much what Pat just said, is certainly for the manager's contract, it's every 6 months. The quarterly piece was around finances and keeping the council up to date on the flow of funds.
Okay. All right, so is everyone comfortable with the game plan going forward? Yes, Pat?
I just have a question, Tom, and that is it appropriate for us to receive the information from all the counselors, narrow it down, come up with an evaluation on Kathy's format, and present it to her directly without further council input? And that's what I cannot remember what happened last time. Shouldn't the council know before we meet with her what this committee is presenting to her?
I would say yes. I think Kathy can talk through that process.
I think, first of all, that I believe that our rules or the charter says that the chair of the current chair of the council meets to do the review with the manager. So that's part one. Secondly, I recollect that, yes, the council needs to understand what does the finished product look like,
And
and
approve.
then approve it. And then Mike would meet with Mary.
Okay. So that we have that in order then. So the plan would be to, once it's all compiled, is to present it to the full council, and then for Mike to meet with Mary to go over what's been approved by the full council. Yes, Pat?
And the question would be, does that need to be presented on December 10th or 12th or whatever it is? Or can that be done outside of an open meeting? If we just present the information. No, we're looking for feedback from them though, too, right? So it
Yeah.
seems it has to be done in the December meeting. That's just
Mhm.
my initial reaction. Anybody?
Go ahead, Mike.
I would agree. That needs to be discussed in a council meeting in open session for full transparency purposes. The only thing the only part of the event that would take place outside of a council meeting would probably be myself meeting with Mary with the direction, but everything else in open session.
Yeah, I think that's the intent of what we're discussing, is to, when we get this all compiled, is to present it for December 10th, get in the documentation for review, have the council have an opportunity to look it over and provide feedback on the 10th about their views, and then finalize it, and then Mike can present it.
Good.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we have the discussion. We've discussed next steps. Is there anything else that anyone feels at this time that might be worthy of our discussion? No? Okay, well, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Make it
Before,
I'm-
I'm sorry to interrupt like that. Would you, Tom, send out that other ranking you spoke about to the four of us?
Yes. Yep. I can certainly do that. It's the previous performance category scoring. Is that the
Okay.
one you referred to? Yeah. Okay. Pat,
Next meeting?
next meeting?
Yeah, when's our next meeting?
Um,
Sometime after the 13th, so maybe the 16th or 17th?
Yeah. So if we look at November 16th, which is a Monday, does that work for everyone?
That, this time of day, are you thinking of?
Yes.
Yeah, November 16th at 10:30 works on my end.
Good. Kathy?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Pat?
Can we be sure we'll have all the results by then, or should we wait until Tuesday, figuring that some people will do it during the weekend?
If I could just jump in, honestly, it's not an arduous task, and I would be willing to bet that everything will be well in hand before then. And if you have one, let's just say one person that it forgot, you get them on the phone and say, can you take care of this so we can, move on it?
Sure.
There's only 7 of us. I don't,
Yep.
Yeah, and they have been currently over 2 weeks, as Kathy suggested. He's gonna be able to send this out probably by tomorrow at the latest, so that gives him well over 2 weeks. I think that's enough time to do this. Okay. Any other comments, discussions? All right, well, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
second?
Great. We have a motion to adjourn in a second. So the meeting is adjourned at 10:58 on October 28th. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Have a good
John.
weekend.
We have a plan.
Yes, we do.